quick operational debrief. I was driving behind a shopping center about 3 in the morning, and there was a car parked there. Kind of an odd place for it to be, so I walk up and there's nobody there. And I'm starting to walk around, and I'm kind of starting my flashlight, and here come a couple of guys with masks on. That is called a clue. And long story short, yeah, they were getting ready to rob a place and saw me, and
they were worried about COVID.
I totally resent the lie.
Hey guys, you ready for today's topic? Because you don't know what it is, do you?
Not
sure,
really.
No.
That's the
Let's
whole
say we're
point.
not prepared.
I just did a candidate for them, and that's where you get up there in front of a bunch of people and they throw questions out at you, and you got to think on your feet. So I'm going to do that to you guys. But first, hey, welcome to the Gun Cranks, everybody. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale and Erick Gelhaus, the editor of AmericanCop.com. So,
hey, Eric,
gentlemen,
this is good practice for our interviews for the NRA executive director job.
Absolutely, or at least the board.
Like surprise questions out of the blue.
Yeah.
We don't know what the topic is, so.
Well, I want to know what Brent's running for.
It's a local office. Trust me, the system works. I'll never go higher. No.
Coroner.
I'll never go that high. The system will work because
I don't get that.
We do too.
Is this the sewage treatment plant board?
Yeah, it is. It very much is.
Okay.
Okay, let's get down to gun cranks.
Okay, what is it?
I've got two topics here, and I'm gonna pick one. Let's talk about something that I think will make Erick's head explode, and that is speed holstering.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the 5.7.
Oh, I love speed holstering.
Now, your head already exploded over the 5.7. No, Tom loves speed holstering. I'm undecided, and I think Erick, for some reason, is against speed holstering. So, Tom, you were the one that brought this to us. This is a thing now, right? Amongst the influency kind of crowd, at least some of them?
Yeah, all the hottest trainers are doing this now. And I've actually taken it a step further. What I do is I flip my gun in the air, and it rotates like 3 times and drops right in. It's the coolest thing ever. I
saw Roy Rogers do that. So he was the first speed holster. So...
I'm going to date myself and say I think I saw Martin Short do that in a movie.
Wow. Okay, the serious part of this is people really are saying this is a thing now, right? Erick, talk about how they do it at Gunsite Academy, where you are a trainer, a long-time trainer.
So in an effort to slow people down going back to the holster, we're telling them to holster deliberately, holster reluctantly. I'll add in, take that deep breath, make sure the finger's up on the frame slide interface before you go back. What seems to be happening is students are trying to get into that rhythm of get the gun out quickly, get the gun put away quickly, or they're kind of happy about what they did, and so that gun wants to go back into the holster right away way too quick so they can celebrate. The problem is fingers, clothes. You know, it's wintertime, so we got a lot of folks wearing jackets that have adjustable waists with the shot cord and a little plastic plunger button there that's right about where the strong side hip holster goes. And any of that gets caught in there, and you don't get a chance to feel resistance, and you push right through it and get the loud noise made. I carry appendix when I'm not working, and that's the one place where I really want to come off the gas going back to the holster, but I keep hearing tell of folks going back into the appendix at full tilt, full speed. And that may be a loud noise nobody wants.
I was going to say there's two loud noises actually.
Or
there's bang and scream, exactly.
It would be the bang followed by the scream.
Yeah. Wow. So why do you think this is a thing? I'll give you my opinion. It's real simple. Because they're trying to come up with something new and different that they do differently than everybody else. Well, if they've been doing it one way forever, which is the slow, reluctant reholster, then I'll just do it the other way, and I'll name the technique after me and do a video. Honestly, truly, that's what I believe. I'm cynical, but I think that's what it is. But
I agree with you. Are you shocked?
I am.
I would sum that up. I would apply a one-word label to what you just described. Marketing. Seriously, this is sad, but it's a unique differentiator, right? You just described that. Like, hey, nobody else does this. I'll do this. It'll be the cool thing in my school,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's where we're tending to see it.
Yeah, I mean,
Some
so
of it,
let's,
I
so what
think-
are the scenarios where this is a good idea?
The one place
For those of you listening to the podcast, I'm doing air quotes in a very sarcastic way right now.
Oh, yes. The one place where I can see it having some validity is for a uniformed cop who was dealing with somebody at gunpoint thinking they were on the way to it being a shooting, and then the circumstances have suddenly changed to this isn't deadly force, this is physical force. And now that gun's got to go away because either punches are being thrown or we're about to throw punches and the hand needs to be free. But even then, get the finger up on the frame slide interface, make sure nothing's in the trigger guard before it goes back in the holster. I did the investigation when a coworker shot himself on a range where his finger was full on in the trigger, going back into a rigid Kydex holster, and it put a frangible round down through his leg, and we had retired him out. So,
Ow. Ow.
yeah, that wasn't comfortable.
You know, and just from the possibility of shooting yourself, obviously enough people haven't shot themselves doing this that it hasn't been completely discredited yet. It will eventually, but the problem I see from a training standpoint is you hit on it, Eric, exactly. As you bring that gun in real fast, why are you doing that? It's not because of any tactical reasons, because you want to see your handiwork on the target. And what does that cause you to do? It causes you to miss the shot. You're not following through on the shots. You're more worried about how well you did. And if you're so worried about, I'm going to get that gun back in that holster really fast, and then what do people always do? They go, well, I can't really see. That's not good training. Not at all.
No.
Now, the thing that concerns me is that depending on the type of gun you're using, if you're shooting a double action, single action pistol, getting into that habit of shoving that thing in your holster, you're going in there fully cocked single action, conceivably. I like that little bit of time to check. As a matter of fact, Eric, I do what you do with the finger, but I add my thumb. And no matter what gun I'm shooting, because I shoot a lot of guns, so I just put this habit across the board. I put my thumb on the back of the slide, and if I'm shooting a double action, I feel that hammer. Whoop, not decocked yet. If it's a single action, safety on. Is it? Is it not? I mean, it's just kind of, for me, your mileage may vary, but it's a double check opportunity.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? It's getting folks with the old SIGs, the Berettas, the 4-digit Smiths, or the 3-digit Smiths, to make sure that they decock, drop the hammer, right, with the decocker, with the safety lever before they go back to the holster. Todd Lewis Green, the anniversary of his passing was just this last week. Todd came up with a thing called the Gadget, which went onto the back of the slide on a Glock that didn't interfere with the hammer in any way, shape, or form, but if you gave it thumb pressure, if something got into the trigger guard and started to press the trigger, it would give you feedback that striker was coming back under pressure and could get released and break the shot. So it gave you a tactile indicator, something was going on, so it gave you the chance to stop. The patent or the copyright for that has since passed over to Ernest Langdon at Langdon Tactical Technologies, and he's continuing to produce the Gadget, which is just a replacement backplate on the Glocks. Some of the other striker-fired guns it won't work with because of the way they're engineered mechanically, and anything beyond explaining it that way is beyond me.
Well, I've got a question here. Since I've not followed up on this, I didn't do a lot of show prep. So, and in this case, show prep would be watching influencers. But where
Or
in
maybe
the
deciding on a topic before you started the show.
Well, there's that.
Kind of falls into show prep. Yeah.
Show prep? Yeah, what a thing.
Okay, you're putting me on the spot. We actually talked about this, and I said I would surprise you. So you knew one of the two topics it was going to be. I did surprise you. But anyway, back to our topic at hand. This whole thing of, if you shoot modern technique-wise, I know there's still a couple of people that do it differently, but across the board, it's accepted that when you come down off the target, you look and assess. And there's different ways of doing this, but at the bare minimum, check left, check right, up, down, make sure somebody doesn't surprise you. So are these speed holsters, are they coming straight back from the on target position? Are they doing a look and assess and then putting it away really fast? How are they doing it?
Some are flying back from the shot. So they break the shot. I don't even think there's follow through, and they got to put the gun away. There are those who, as instructors, we may have difficulty appropriately communicating how the assessment and scan is supposed to be done and when, and it turns into a range dance. They wave the gun around and then go racing back to the holster. Right, rather than just taking a look around the surroundings. And there's folks out there that poo-poo the post-engagement sequence, that poo-poo assessing. All right, and with them, that gun comes off target really quickly and then has to go somewhere else really quickly. Yeah. I'm not saying the two are tied, but that seems to be where I see it.
Now, you bring up the assessment. Have you guys ever been on the range with one of these folks that thinks you have to scan like 720 degrees? It's, oh, hey, put the gun away there, Chief. Let's keep them pointed down that way. I understand the idea behind checking behind and up and down and all that, but there's some people that actually try. You've got to literally 360 scan with the gun, and I don't know how you can do that safely on a square range, at least not just by yourself.
No.
That's why my EDC kit contains a dental mirror, Brent. You whip that thing out with your support hand, you got it right in front of your left eye, and you can see behind you.
Yeah.
You don't carry one?
No.
I use the cell phone on reverse portrait mode.
Golly. Wow, I can only imagine. Go ahead.
Now, the assessment is situational, right? The folks that teach it do teach some variant of a target left or right to, potentially pushing 360. Right. It's going to vary. If you're in a home defense situation and you're in a shooting down your hallway, how much left and right do you need to look to see the guy at the end of the hallway that caused you to use deadly force? Yeah. Likewise, in the law enforcement world, if you're dealing with a vehicle and you're at the passenger side B pillar and the driver decides that today's the day he wants to shoot it out with the cops, your frame of reference is like the A pillar to the B pillar and maybe where you're moving after that.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about an instance I had. Tell a quick operational debrief. I was driving behind a shopping center about 3 a.m, and there was a car parked there. Kind of an odd place for it to be. So I walk up and there's nobody there. And I'm starting to walk around, and I'm kind of starting my flashlight, and here come a couple of guys with masks on. So that is called a clue. And long story short, yeah, they were getting ready to rob a place and saw me, and they actually
worried about COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this was several years ago. This was pre-COVID, but no, when I say masks, I mean the balaclava type things. Yeah,
not welding hoods.
No, okay. Not at all. And so they got close. It turns out they didn't have guns on them because they tossed them in a dumpster when they saw me pull up. But they were like, hey, we're not doing anything. And I put them on the ground. I called for backup. But there was kind of the way the shopping center was configured, I literally backed up with my back against the wall. And I had about 270 degrees of hard cover. And I thought, okay, I don't have to look and assess jack. I got these guys, and I got hard walls. I'm pretty much in Fort Apache. Bring it on. So I thought that would have been pretty funny for me to, I need to assess and look up. Well, all I see is walls next to me.
Hey, it just occurred to me, we have the perfect forum here to discuss a serious point about speed reholstering.
Okay.
If for those who don't know, these two clowns with me today are both cops and retired cops. I am not. So my lens is civilian concealed carry, right? So the scenario is this, and I can see this being a sarcastic air quotes again, a justification for speed reholstering is, hey, you've just been involved in a defensive incident and the cops are barging in the door. You don't want to be standing there with a gun in your hand. That is true. But yes. I would put forth, I have a technique where I can empty my hands instantaneously and safely.
Yep.
You guys want to guess? I got my gun in my hand. How do I go to empty hands instantly?
Gravity.
It does. Gravity always is on your side, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know what? You can drop a gun right on the ground. Guess what? You can put your foot on it, put your big old boot on it, and stick your hands straight up in the air if you need to.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
No, I
And
mean,
that's-
it's a serious point, though. Nobody thinks about that. It's like, oh, what do I got? I got to put my gun away real fast. Or somebody. Yeah. I think
Well,
this is a question for you guys. I'm thinking that if I were you two barging into the room where I just had a defensive encounter, I'm guessing you'd be more comfortable or a little less wound up if I'm standing there with empty hands in the air and the only gun you might see is on the floor.
Yep.
Yes,
Absolutely.
not in hands is good. And was it a couple years now? There was a shooting in Colorado where somebody decided they wanted to kill a cop. They did. Local CCW holder hears the gunfire, goes to the scene of the shooting, shoots and kills the bad guy. Great job. Cops get the 911 call. And I'm going off of memory on this. Get the 911 call. Dude with a rifle just killed one of your officers in the town square. That's all the cops know rolling in. Our good guy has dumped the bad guy holstered, but goes and picks up the bad guy's rifle.
Oh.
When the officers come rolling in, and very regrettable outcome of the good guy who had picked up the bad guy's rifle after shooting him gets shot by the officers. So not having anything in your hands when the cops arrive, right, wrong, or indifferent, it is a very good thing. And decent normal human beings don't have the mistake of fact shootings to the degree that law enforcement does, because they're usually the victims of stuff and they know who's victimizing them. Cops are rolling in what the Supreme Court has said is tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving circumstances. If you don't have to have a gun in your hand when the cops get there, it's probably a really good idea.
Yeah.
I can tell you the very last thing I'm worried about in that scenario is my gun getting scratched up on the ground. That is my very last worry.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at how many people are like, I can't drop my gun on the ground.
Exactly.
Like, no, I
That
wouldn't
was-
do it just on Thursday afternoon. But if we're talking life and death, great. I'll melt my gun in a furnace if that's what it takes. I don't care.
I had a guy.
Buy a new gun.
I'll be
I was
around to
helping-
buy a new one. Yep.
Exactly.
I was helping teach a class. It got heated that he's not going to drop his gun for anything. And I'm like, you might get shot. Well, they'd be in the wrong. And I'm like, and you'd be shot.
Be dead.
And I'm guessing what kind of made him mad was I said it rather sarcastically, and I bet if you get shot, you'll drop your gun anyway, so you might as well just drop it and not be shot. That's what a thinking person would do.
How many times do we find examples of you can be right and still lose?
Yes.
Exactly.
It's called reality.
Yeah. You won the battle, you lost the war.
I got my rights.
Yeah. Well, good for you, buddy. Well, guys, this has been interesting in that I think we all pretty much agree that other than that narrow circumstance Eric was talking about, speed holstering, it's not a good thing. And it just, don't do it, kids. Don't do it. And I'm sure we'll get some comments about, in my 4 years of training, okay, good for you, but speed holstering is not an accepted practice among professionals. Wouldn't you agree, Eric?
Yes, with the caveats that we touched on, right? Having
Sure.
to transition to hands or having to get the gun out of your hands because the cavalry's showing up.
Well,
I tell you, I think Gunsite's word of reluctant holstering is just spot on. I love that word. It's just a perfect word for what the process should be. You know?
Exactly. Well, guys, this has been a good episode. And of course, we always want to hear comments from folks. You can reach Tom or I at editor@Guns Magazine or AmericanHandgunner.com. And Eric, I never can remember your email address. I'm sorry.
Erick.Gelhaus at AmericanCop.com. No, at FMGHQ.com.
Okay. I didn't know. We need to get you an editor mailbox set up, but that's AmericanCop.com. Check that out. And of course, check out Guns Magazine and American Handgunner. And we have special editions. We have the Smith & Wesson special edition. Those are available on our websites and at Amazon. And of course, if you want to watch or listen to the Gun Cranks instead of watch us, you can check out the Gun Cranks podcast, and that's on most of our normal podcast directories, along with the Guns Magazine podcast. And we're coming up on about 180 episodes, so that's a pretty good string there. So, guys, thanks for talking about this, and thanks for joining us here on the Gun Cranks. We will see you next episode. I'm Guns Magazine editor Rick Week, along with Tom Patel, editor of American Handgunner, Erick Gelhaus, editor of AmericanCop.com, and man about town, Roy Huntington.